Thank you for watching this video from the Center for European Studies at Carleton University. This project has received funding from the European Union and Carleton University. The views expressed in this video do not reflect those of the European Union or the Center for European Studies. Hi, this is Marakibi from the Center for European Studies here at Carleton University, and I'm joined today by Dr. Laurie Beaudonnet from the Université de Montréal. She's here today for an event which we've had at the Center for European Studies about democracy in the EU in the context of the Eurozone crisis. And Dr. Beaudonnet presented a paper called Red Europe versus No Europe, the Impact of the Economic Crisis on Radical Left Voting. So thank you for joining me today. How has the context or the landscape of radical left parties in Europe changed or evolved during the Eurozone crisis?
Well, it's true that we see a strong impact of the crisis in terms of discourse from the political parties on the radical left wing. Well, this is nothing new in a sense, since socioeconomic inequalities are really the core of these parties' policy actions and calls. However, what we see is that in terms of electorate, we can really see a change in the sense that until now, radical left wing voters have been said to be mainly Eurosceptic, in the sense that European radical left parties really pictured the European project as a product of neoliberalism, something that would destroy national and social models. However, what we see in this work that I'm doing with a colleague, Raoul Gomez from Derby University in the UK, what we try to see is to disentangle this Eurosceptic label, to see that actually radical left parties also attract people who actually support the European integration project, but want a different type of integration, and in particular more emphasis on socioeconomic, on the fight against social economic inequalities. And this is new in the context of the crisis.
But within Europe and within, I guess, European Parliament elections, are we seeing then a Europeanization of the radical left and the emergence then of a true, or at least a united or a concrete alternative to, say, the liberal vision of Europe? Is there a new radical left vision of Europe being developed?
Well, it's true that anybody who works with political parties at the European level knows that actually the harmonization or collective strategy of this party, it's very difficult, that parties are very much nationally based. However, just to take like an example, in the 2014 manifesto of the European Left Party, which is the European platform for the radical left parties in Europe, there was a clear statement about the need to reform Europe and especially to find an alternative. And this, we would say that in the 2014 election there was more of a coordination among European left parties. But actually our work is more on voters' side, in the sense that it was really interesting to see in this election that there was radical left coordination also in different countries. For instance, in Italy there was this Tsipras list, which actually used the charismatic leader from the Greek radical left party as a label for the election, and this attracted some people. We also see that more people voted for the radical left parties in the 2014 election. The European Left Party went from 35 seats to 52. So quite a strong increase, and it's actually a general trend throughout Europe. Of course, the different parties in different countries have had different success, but we are in numbers that are not so far away from the radical right parties.
Obviously, a big theme of the conference here today, talking about the Eurozone crisis and democracy, has been the future and how Europe will move forward. Given the trends that have developed in the radical left in the context of crisis, given your research, do you see these as durable trends that will continue beyond the conclusion or the hoped for conclusion of the Eurozone crisis, or are these sort of byproducts of the crisis that may fade as it passes?
Definitely yes. Why? Because until now, before the crisis, it was really widespread that the motto for the justification for European integration was economic prosperity, and as far as this was guaranteed, this would guarantee diffuse support at quite a reasonable level, and there was quite a broad consensus on that. However, what we've seen over the past 5, 6, 7 years now of crisis is that if you don't guarantee the citizens the economic prosperity that was the justification for European integration, then people start questioning the model. And what we've seen in the many social movements throughout the crisis, but also in this success of the radical left parties, is that people want a different type, part of the European people want a different type of integration with a more social focus, and this at some point should be heard by the European Union institution, especially if this should be reflected in policy outcomes if we want the European Union to go back to his prior level of confidence and trust in institutions. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much for joining me today, Dr. Beaudonnet.